Welcome back to our channel, Echoes of Reality, where we bring you the most unbelievable, emotional and shocking real-life inspired stories that will keep you hooked till the very end. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so, because today's story is one you will never forget. It was a quiet afternoon at a local park in California. The sun was shining, children were playing, and parents were enjoying a peaceful day. Among them was a young girl named Kayla, the daughter of the legendary UFC champion Ronda Rousey. Kayla loved these moments, simple and carefree, just like any other child. She ran around laughing, chasing a bright yellow ball, unaware that today's peace was about to shatter. Across the playground, a group of kids had gathered, but not for play. Their eyes were locked on Kayla. One of them, bigger and more aggressive than the rest, stepped forward. His name was Jake, a known bully in the neighborhood. He smirked, confident that no one would challenge him. "You think you can play here?" he sneered, stepping toward Kayla. Kayla froze. She had been warned about bullies before, but today she was alone. Her friends had wandered off to the swings. The air seemed to tense, and even the birds paused mid-flight as if sensing the confrontation. Before she could react, Jake lunged, grabbing her by the shoulders. "You're going to learn not to mess with me," he hissed. Kayla struggled, fear gripping her tiny body. But just as Jake tried to choke her, a deep, commanding voice rang out. "Let go of her! Now!" All eyes turned, and there, walking swiftly toward the playground, was none other than Ronda Rousey herself. The UFC legend, the woman who had defeated some of the toughest fighters in the world, was approaching, her eyes blazing with intensity. Jake froze, realizing in an instant that this was no ordinary parent. The moment Ronda stepped closer, the air itself seemed to change. People instinctively gave her space, sensing the aura of authority and strength she carried. Ronda's voice was calm but firm, the kind that left no room for argument. "Let her go. She is a child, and you will not touch her." Jake laughed nervously, trying to maintain his bravado. "Or what?" he muttered, though his voice lacked conviction. "Or you'll answer to me," Ronda said simply, her stance shifting slightly, a reminder of her professional fighting background. The subtle tension in her posture told Jake everything he needed to know. This was someone who had faced world-class fighters and never backed down. The other kids had stopped their games, watching the scene unfold in awe. Kayla's friends were frozen in shock, unsure whether to run or stay. Ronda stepped closer, each movement precise, controlled, almost like a predator assessing her target. "You may think this is a joke. You may think you can intimidate children, but I will not allow that. Not here. Not ever." The bully's smirk faltered. He could feel his knees wobble under the weight of her presence. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, but his pride held him rooted to the spot. Kayla, sensing her mother's presence, found her courage. "Mom!" she cried, stepping back. Her fear was still there, but her confidence returned in the safety of Ronda's proximity. Ronda knelt down slightly to meet her daughter's eyes. "It's okay, baby. I'm here," she whispered, her tone soft now, filled with warmth, but still carrying an unmistakable warning for anyone who dared to challenge her. Then Ronda straightened, her eyes back on Jake. "Do you understand me?" she asked, her voice calm but deadly. Jake swallowed hard. He was no fool. He had watched her fights on TV. He had seen her throw the toughest opponents to the mat, knock them out in seconds. Now facing her in person, he realized that this was not an exaggeration. He was outmatched, and there was no one to save him. He stammered, trying to find words that could justify his actions, but the words failed him. "Apologize to her," Ronda commanded. Jake turned to Kayla, his face pale, realizing he had gone too far. I'm sorry," he muttered, barely audible. Kayla nodded slowly, still holding her mother's hand. "It's okay," she whispered. Ronda looked back at him, her expression unwavering. "You need to learn that bullying is not tolerated, ever. And if you ever lay a hand on anyone like that again, there will be consequences. The other kids watching began to clap, not just for Ronda, but for the courage she displayed in standing up for her child. Parents nearby nodded in approval, some whispering their admiration at how a UFC champion could also be an incredible parent. Jake turned and ran, humiliated, realizing that he had faced someone who could not only physically overpower him, but command respect and authority effortlessly. Later, as they walked home, Kayla looked up at her mother. "Mom, did you really have to scare him like that?" Ronda laughed softly. "Sometimes, sweetie, people need to learn the hard way. But the most important thing is that you know you are never alone. You always have to stand up for yourself, but I'll always be there to back you up." Kayla smiled, feeling safe and loved. She knew that her mother was not only a fighter in the octagon, but also a protector, a hero outside of it. The story of that afternoon quickly spread online. Videos captured the confrontation, showing the moment a bully underestimated the daughter of a world champion, and the moment Ronda Rousey appeared, turning fear into awe. Comments poured in, praising her courage, her parenting, and the lesson taught to anyone who thought they could intimidate a child. What made the story go viral wasn't just the fame of Ronda Rousey, it was the universal truth that anyone, no matter their size or power, can stand up to bullies when they have courage, skill, and love on their side. People from around the world shared the story, many saying it inspired them to stand up against bullying, to protect their loved ones, and to realize that real strength is not about fear or domination, but about defending what is right. And as for Kayla, she learned an important lesson that day. Strength isn't just about fighting in a ring. It's about standing up for what you believe in, protecting the vulnerable, and knowing that family and love can give you courage beyond measure. As the sun set over their neighborhood, mother and daughter walked home hand in hand. The park was quiet again, the laughter of children resuming, the echoes of that shocking afternoon fading. But the lesson, the courage, and the love demonstrated that day would remain in everyone's hearts who witnessed it. Ronda smiled down at her daughter, proud not only of her child's resilience, but also of the message they had sent together. That day, a bully learned a lesson, a daughter learned courage, and the world was reminded of the power of strength, love, and standing up for what is right.